Welcome to another CEO Wisdom Pod. We have Kannan Chettiar with us. Kannan is an award-winning technopreneur, CEO and co-founder at Avvanz. He's an international speaker, trainer, mentor for startups, a judge also, and a hands-on family man, plus a fitness enthusiast. Last time I spoke to him, he was coming back from the gym, having a nice sweat at 6 a.m. in the morning, something like that. He's in Singapore. I'm in Oaxaca, Mexico. Uh, Opposite time zone, but that's the beauty of technology and connecting with the world. This podcast is brought to you by podbuyer.com. If you want to start or scale your podcast, go to podbuyer.com. Kannan, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself in advance.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Well, I think you gave a very nice introduction of myself already, and that's all me. I'll take all that. I started Avvanz. In fact, next Monday is going to be our 8-year anniversary, so this interview is just very timely. So I started the company on 1st of April 2016, and 8 years looking back, now we have 44,000 plus clients across the globe. We have about 90 odd people. We have multiple award-winning platforms as well. And we're in the business of mitigating people risk and company risk, right? So we do help companies mitigate people risk through background checks, through our platform called CDD Global, and we also help companies do due diligence on other companies through our product called CDD Global, which stands for Company Due Diligence. What we're really trying to solve here is the fact that there's just too much faking going around. So whatever you watch in shows like Catch Me If You Can or Inventing Anna, it's all true. We have seen it all, right? Out of every 10 profiles, at least 3 to 4 at least have some form of discrepancies, right? So if you take a resume, for example, the discrepancies could be, fake educational certificates, inflated credentials, disturbing social media footprint, undeclared derogatory past, so all that, right? So that's what we try to help organizations address through our platform, and that's the business. So that's the pain we are trying to solve for companies.
Obviously, I'm not hireable. I wouldn't qualify myself as a pirate in a derogatory way, but I'm a freedom seeker and I love to venture in my own path. So not hireable, but I might have said some things in the social media in the past that I didn't necessarily mean, or just, yeah, dumb stuff that I forgot was there. So how does a company like yours make sense out of that and judge the full character of a present person and not throw the baby with the bathwater?
First, I think let's not straight away dismiss that you're not hireable. Maybe you are. You're just being hard on yourself. The other thing is, the social media checks, we actually look for specific derogatory indicators. For example, whether the whatever the person has posted, shared, or commented, or even allowed himself or herself to be tagged in, have anything related to, let's say, radicalism or vulgarity, for example, anything related to violence or intolerance at workplace, those kind of sexual stuff, those kind of things, right? So if an educator has posted things like child sex, then that's disturbing. So it's very specific areas is what our AI engine will scan through and then post, right? And of course, to make sure we got the correct choice or correct Kannan, that's why we collect two sets of data. One is the face, which is where the deep learning comes in, and the other one is your profile, like your LinkedIn or your resume, to match that we got the correct Kannan or correct Charles, right? So that's what it does. The other thing is we do not judge, right? So we definitely don't take the judging sort of the role here. We don't even adjudicate for the candidates, for the clients, right? So what happens is we report all the findings, whether it's criminal or it could be like social media, or financial checks, or education, employment, could be conflicting directorships, could be any kind of anti-money laundering, KYC, all those kind of things. So we don't recommend all checks for everyone because it's going to be very expensive. So I always call it a cost benefit risk balance. And based on that, the companies will be the one deciding whether this is the right person for us. Because as you know, background checks is one aspect of an entire recruitment. If you take the whole thing, is obviously the performance in an interview. And I say performance because some of them perform very well, but then the actual performance at workplace might be very different because people do attend a lot of interview, how to score an interview trainings nowadays, right? So that's also pretty. You've got to see through that. So interviews, assessments, maybe even to a certain extent, background checks, they all come together before you decide this person is a fit for you, right? So background check is one data point, and it's a very important data point because this is probably the most quantitative data you get. Anything else is going to be very qualitative, like this discussion, right? If I'm going to be talking really well, you're going to be impressed by me, but when I come to workplace, how do you know am I going to perform? That's where the quantitative background checks comes in. Hope that makes sense.
I can picture AI as a good tool to filter someone. The AI is more objective than a human, in my opinion. There's a set of requirements for the job. Here's the human uh, with these set of criterias, with this algorithm, judge if the human is good for the job. Are you using any AI to help the employer make a decision?
So that's actually, you're talking about things like predictive assessment tools and all that. That's something I don't touch. Why? In fact, when I started a business, the very first 2 years we were dabbling in that space. So we had a portion of the business, not a portion, a very small business around that. But later on, I sort of came out of it because I dropped that. We make an executive decision to drop that and just focus on our two pillars, which is screen and develop background checks and training and development, right? Why? Because I felt that is to a certain extent you can actually outsmart the assessments because I've been through tons of the well-known assessments myself in my previous leadership roles in various companies I worked for. After a while, you know what? You know how to get. I mean, of course, those companies who do this may disagree, but I think unless it's really smart or smarter than me, I could actually turn out pretty well in these tools. Because these tools sometimes ask the same question in five different ways, but if you really hold strong that this is how I'm going to answer, and if you really comprehend the question well, you can be consistently lying the system, right? So that's why in 2018 I decided, you know what, this is not working out. I don't think it's against. I think what we're trying to do for the clients, we just dropped it. So we just focused on very simple. Let's do the quantitative background checks because this one you cannot lie because you are verifying at the source. You're verifying at the source, right? So it's not for the candidate to modify any data. So which is why it is really since it's source based, it's a truth, which is why we sort of focused on that. And it covers 150 plus countries anyway. So if a candidate studied work or lived in any part of the world, we pretty much can cover. So in fact, sometimes candidates in the process, even after consenting to it, do get surprised that wow, Avvanz can become so detailed. And some actually drop off interviews. That itself is a red flag if somebody is not cooperating in the process, right?
Me, a red flag for me is always when someone has like no social media presence whatsoever, no LinkedIn experience, or yes, just hard to find online. Isn't that the red flag as well?
Sometimes people could also be very private, so they could have sort of locked all the settings. But again, we have seen less than 3% of the time this happens because our social media, we have three tabs. A level one, which is a 45 minutes scanning, 90 minutes, and then we have a dark web search element as well, three flavors. And it also covers Google. So if a person was reported and this was covered in the public news somewhere, that adverse findings also can come up, right? And if I'm private settings, but let's say I went to Charles, your one of your posts, and I socialized with it, and I said something negative or derogatory, it come up as well. So, and we do not break into privacy settings. We do not break into privacy settings. So we only consent to check what any person can check. But for you to check through someone's social media footprint over many years is going to take you days, right? It's just so much of data to scan through, which is where machine learning and deep learning help us quite a lot.
Yeah, the last person I would want to hire would be like a troll, like someone that goes on YouTube just to shit post or on Twitter, for example. Yeah, these people, I'm just not sure what to make of them. Um, on your side, who do you target as customers and how do you get in touch with them?
Yeah, actually, this is a business which is industry agnostic and geography agnostic, right? Because anyone who's in business, I mean, people drive the business, right? You could be a tech company, but you still need people. And among all the business risks, people risk is number one risk. So obviously, for us, we are agnostic to any industry. So we have clients across like finance, education, tech, mining. I mean, name it, we have it. And the way we do it today is, of course, we do quite a bit of digital marketing to reach out. But I think a lot of the clients which have come to us is through what we actually do in the media. So I actually actively conduct thought leadership on what you can do to sort of address such people risk. Because this is the most important thing, right? If you get this right, you're already there. You're running a business. And a lot of it is word of mouth. So we're very proud that in the 8 years, going to be 8 years now, we have above 99% retention of clients. And our clients also bring other clients. There's a lot of word of mouth. So it's just word of mouth, digital marketing, and as well as a lot of thought leadership that we do. And because there's a lot of people do not know such tools exist. To be honest, before even I came into this business, I never knew, and I wish I knew because I worked in companies where we had hired the wrong people. That was one classic example, right? After hiring, we realized that a lot of and that this was the before COVID days, right? Work from office days, right? WFO days. Uh, People were losing money from the wallets were missing, and this was happening for quite a while. And then the company, it was an English UK based company, and then what they did was they started installing CCTVs everywhere. They had a security guard walking around and all that. But later we realized that the person who was stealing was someone of a very critical role. Was actually a personal assistant to the CEO. She was bankrupt. She was terminated from the previous company for the same reason. It's a very big company, and she was also going through a divorce, and a lot of things were happening. So, and then of course she was terminated immediately. But if someone had done some basic background checks, like a previous employment check, do a basic financial, or maybe even a social media, you could have caught all this. And this is one of the many examples, right? So I only knew about it until I joined a very large American company as a regional head for in their background screening business. They're probably number one in the world. But of course, when I went in, I realized that a lot of the things they were doing were very manual. There were a lot of errors, which what triggered me. Why not I do disrupt this space by bringing technology into it? And because I'm a big Jeff Bezos fan, in fact, he was my MBA assignment. I think almost 15 years, more than 15 years back. I wanted to build an e-commerce model to this whole thing. So you should be able to get into the platform, select what checks I want, what country I want, check out, and then the report will get to you. It's almost like a DHL shipment tracking, right? You can track your progress. Some checks can get completed, and once the whole thing is over, you can download the report. So I wanted to sort of, if there's such a word called techify, right, the whole experience, so that the workflows when they're automated, you would have hardly any errors, and it gives you a superior client experience and candidate experience. Because candidates, no one likes to be background checked. Let's face it, right, Charles? I mean, no one. You're not. We don't like to be checked. But the thing is that if you make the experience seamless and enough, and I think candidates will at least feel like, okay, no, I'm going to cooperate. I'm going to get this done. And of course, I need to be considered for the candidacy for this company, so I will need to get it done, right? So smoothen the whole thing for everyone, so they will do it. So that's how the whole inspiration for me to start this company came about.
Well, the first example you cited is quite poignant. That employee lady. The thing is, with serial liars, you can't spot them. They're just too good at what they do, and they really wreck society apart. These people, because like me, I open my heart all the time, and I trust people a lot, and think that's one reason why I don't work with employees anymore. I hired and fired 1,000 employees, and I would just trust anyone. And I talked with a friend yesterday. He's pretty much doing the same, but he's losing many hundreds of thousands of dollars doing so, and he won't learn. And I'm like, dude, do your due diligence. Like check who you're dealing with, so that you don't take being taken advantage of, especially in the international market. I think trust is the basis of society, right? Like without trust, there's no society. And I'm also often questioning the current systems that we have in this society for trust internationally, right? Often I'm reflecting on reviews, Amazon reviews, Square reviews, or Square, I forgot what they're called, Foursquare reviews, and so forth. Do you think that these are scalable trust systems? Like, what would be the ideal trust system in this society, so that we could identify who's less trustable and sort of put them out of the equation or rehabilitate these people? and yeah, do business or put yourself in alliances with people that are trustworthy? Is it a combination of blockchain and AI? And my technologist brain is telling me, like, do you often ponder about these things, scaling trust?
Interesting you brought this up because a few weeks ago I was in Middle East signing up a reseller to bring us into the market more deeply, and someone said that, oh, we actually randomly check some people, and some we don't. And I was like, you know what, we work on a no trust based system. Trust no one. That's our ethos, right? Sorry to say, I know humanity is all about trust, but in our space, no trust, and you cannot randomly trust people. So I told them, either, and this is a big bank, right? I said, either you do check out everyone, background check everyone, or just take it that, you know what, I'm going to trust all my employees and candidates and don't do checks on anyone at all. So it's either all or no, right? So that's what we believe in. And the other thing you brought about is also important one, which is what sort of made us launch the other product, right? The CDD Global Company Due Diligence, because today it's become, thanks to, I don't know whether it's crypto, I shouldn't put the blame entirely on crypto because I myself have some exposure on that. And I'm, of course, not exactly doing very well. A lot of companies fly by night, and we have companies suddenly hiring 150, 150 people, they get it all checked. And then 2 months ago, 2 months later, they just close up and they don't pay us, right? So, which is why doing due diligence of companies has become so important, right? Before you partner them, before you sign them as a reseller, before you work with them as a vendor, because you need to know whether they are getting your supply chain, is it credible, doing DD on your customers. So today, do you want to do a DD? You got to go to the very large organizations and you have to write in, and then this quotation process. Some will not even entertain you unless the bill is minimum 20,000. So that's why I wanted to bring something really easy. And we have another e-commerce, thanks to again a Bezos inspiration. We have a platform where you go in, you can select what kind of due diligence you want to do. You want to do a premium, or you want to go very detailed. Select the country, boom. Then we start working on it, send the report. So now you could even do a DD on a company for as cheap as $50, right? So that's what we try to do. And this one of the companies we met was asking us exactly what you mentioned, right, Charles? How do I know the reviews are real? You could get a bot and put up like 5-star review, but actually when you get there, the product is not even there. So thankfully, we have launched a product under the CDD called the social media screening for merchants. So this came about because one of the very large e-commerce platform came to us and said, we have a lot of merchants who don't have actual companies, so they don't have a company registration, so you can't do a formal screening on them. But I want to know whether they are viable, are they real? So how do we do that? Which is why we introduced a product called social media screening for merchants, and that also has a review feature where the machine can run through and check whether these reviews were generated by bots or real people, or even if it's real people, do such reviews on other platforms for money? So that's something we have managed to sort of come across. We just skinned this cat very recently, right? We're going to do a lot of marketing around that because I think this is going to be so useful for people to assess whether this company is a real company to work with. I mean, very simple. Last week, I went to a seafood restaurant. I think Singapore is well known for our chili crabs and pepper crabs. So next time you are here, I'll bring you that. And this was very highly rated, right? And was new and all that. I thought we would give it a shot. So I brought my team and we had dinner, and it was horrible service. Lots of none of the dishes tasted right. And on top of it, the bill was really expensive, and I gave a very poor review. Right, I'm a big foodie. I give fantastic reviews when I'm very happy, and I give very poor reviews when I'm not happy. And it was a 5.0. I should have, it's the silly me of it, right? I should have suspected, how do you get 5.0? Even with Avvanz, we get tons of fantastic reviews from our clients, and we're still around 4.5 to 4.6, right? 5 is really hard. So you know what? Even I make mistakes. So silly me, spend a lot of money on bad food, right? So which is why. So after that, I told guys, you know what? Let's do that screening on that restaurant, and you know what? We really checked it. There are a lot of bot generated reviews. So you know what? I myself, I think, need to use my tools more.
Right. I think we're also biased the way we give out reviews, right? Like me, it seems I won't ever give a bad review because I feel bad for just putting down another entrepreneur and someone that's taking risks. Yeah, and the 5-star, I mean, yeah, do I need to get drunk to get a 5 stars? I never get drunk. So like I need to be like to the moon, right? So I feel we need a better system. Something that would take some of her data points, right? Like yeah, like how is your cortisol rate, how much serotonin in your brain after you've exited the restaurant and so forth. Something that might check your Twitter, what you posted up there, and then give a very decent and scientific rating. Um, but that's just me. Now you mentioned the headcount growth at this company. I've checked your headcount growth; it's pretty crazy. On LinkedIn, it seems you went from 57 employees in 2022 to 138, according to LinkedIn. So how did that happen?
Definitely don't think it's 138. We are 95 people now. So this is exactly a very good point, right? A lot of profiles on LinkedIn are not real. So I've got people who left the company who still seem to be working for the company, right? Which is why, in fact, I even brought this proposition to the LinkedIn once, right? Because I think a lot of people put fake profiles, inflated profiles on the LinkedIn, which is why I think recently they even introduced a green tick thingy, which you know what, to me it's completely pointless. Sorry to say. So which is why when we do employment details and employment performance check, we go very thorough because people tend to pad up the dates, pad up the titles, fake the scope of the work they did. I think some of them, you know, when I look at them, they say I closed £1 million deals and all these kind of things they put up there, right? And I'm like, oh my god, you were terminated because you're not performing and you bullshit right in front of my eye, and you still don't want to remove your. They probably haven't found a job, which is why they still want to show that they're still working for a company, working for Avvanz, right? So it looks like it's 138. I'm very disturbed. But there could be also people who are advisors, and but that's also even that you put up 5 people, it should be 100 the most, right? So it's crazy, which is exactly why you cannot trust what you read there, right? So yeah, as a population, we are 95 people. I'm not a big fan of growing in people numbers. I know it's a bit conflicting to the business that we do, but it's really because we need to automate more. Because this business is you have to automate, 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 and in fact now our Screen Global is in version 2.0, 3.0 is going to come up the next few months. It's going to have more automation, better UI, more UX, so all that. So I mean, I'm all for automation, and but of course, this business, if I'm going to talk to your previous employer, I cannot you use a bot to do that. I still need a live person to call your previous HR or supervisor and do the checks. So there'll always be a people aspect of it, but I can only automate some of the workflows, which is what we've already done. But there's more scope for it. But again, the people are increasing because the business is clearly increasing. I think we were only about 3,000 plus clients in end of 2022. The last count I saw was 4,400 or something. So we are growing really, really fast. So
Right,
yeah,
and
which is
probably using your own platform to recruit that much trustful humans. No, I'm somewhat conflicted. I mean, when I said I'm unemployable, it's on purpose. I think well, that's successful as an entrepreneur, and I would never want to lose this freedom. But if I would try to picture myself out there, version of me, right, that Charles would probably be a VP sales in some alternate dimension. But what should be the approach between being authentic and your real self? And I don't know, people don't swear on LinkedIn, but like, yeah, it's like being your full self, your raw self, and yeah, saying some things that are not politically correct, vs putting that professional mask, which is what most people do on LinkedIn, and polishing their profile and being politically correct. Like, which one should people pick nowadays?
you can express your opinions in a non-derogatory or a non-toxic or non-vulgar way. I mean, if you just go into my personal LinkedIn profile, you would see that I sometimes say the darnest things, things I don't like as well. But why do I have to use any kind of vulgarity when I do that, right? I can be diplomatic. In fact, sometimes I'm not even diplomatic. I think some of the stuff that I put is what I really feel about something, right? I would even, in fact, the one I just talked about, LinkedIn inflation, I talked about it in my personal social media profile. I even talk about people connecting to me, and then the moment I accept the connection, they will send me this whole long pitch without even checking me out. who am I really? That's disgusting, right? And I've expressed this as well. In fact, recently I even put up a post. I think there's a lot of impressions on it where I said that I hate it when people spell my name wrongly, and I even hate it more when they spell my company name wrongly, right? So if a sales guy trying to sell me something and he can't even get that right, he has no attention to details, I will disconnect immediately and I will not even work with him or her, right? So I'm very open. I say whatever I don't like, or whatever I feel strongly about as well. But I don't have to do it in a vulgar way. Do it in a professional way, right? The problem today is a lot of people. Maybe it's a Netflix generation. People just this vulgarity just comes out. And you know what? It's up to you. That's what you want to be about. But be very careful when you put things on social media. We can't. You don't believe it, right? We even catch a lot of senior level people or educators even using the horrendous vulgar words on X, on Meta. And when it comes to our social media findings, it all comes out obviously. We pick up everything. Of course, the companies would say, you know what, we'll give you some time, clean up everything, and then we'll do a social media check. And if it's good, great. But if for that particular role, these kind of character or these kind of behaviors are not acceptable, the person has lost the job. Or in fact, some companies even do rescreening every 12 months. They rescreen people for criminal and social media and all that, and they could lose jobs because of that. I think you have know the story of a very large logistics company where this lady, before going on the plane, and she was going to South Africa, she said something very, very,
Yeah,
very nasty. And when she arrived, her job termination was waiting for her. Get back, right?
that's
So be
terrible.
careful, be matured about it. Matured about it. So once it's out there, it's very hard to take back. So I think that you can be very, very open. You can say whatever you want, but you don't have to do it in a toxic way. That's my stand.
Yeah, our poignant stories, Bitcoin, the Netflix teleseries, the CEO of, I forgot what the company was, but he had a fake CEO in his company, a fake this, a fake that, like fake credentials. So it's not only on the employee side, but also on the company side. I think you mentioned Visio Technologies also not so long ago. Um, yeah, just people need to say the truth, I guess, and yeah, also be careful about what they say, not to offend other humans, because we live in a society, right? And the internet is quite a large society. We're out of time already. I wish I would have more time to ask you more questions about fitness and all of that. But till then, Kanan, where can people find out more information about you?
Of course, if you go to the company website, avvanz.com, avvanz.com, you'll learn more about the company. Myself, of course, feel free to connect me on LinkedIn. I think as I put Kannan Chettiar Avvanz, you should be quite easily able to find me. Even in the Google, if you put my name, you'll see a lot of press and webinars and conferences where I've expressed a lot of ideas on this, as well as even the other passionate topic of big passion for me is the digital transformation, where I've helped companies digitally transform. So that's another thing you can talk to me about as well. So I think I'm not easy. I'm not hard to find.